Yesterday marked the end of a violent, multi-day crime spree involving multiple armed robberies, at least 2 carjackings, stolen vehicles.
Right now at 6, new video of the chaotic shootout in San Jose that ended with an officer injured and a suspect dead. The new information on the crime spree spanning several days and counties. Plus, a former police trainer weighs in on the police response and walks us through those split-second decisions on the streets of downtown. Then,
we need to hang on to this or it's going to go away. And it's too special to go away.
a North Bay woman is looking for some help to keep her water buffalo herd. The deep bond between them and why she's hoping it becomes a business deal. And later, the Bay Area with a strong showing at this year's Academy Awards. All the nominations for Ryan Coogler's Sinners.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 6. You know, we are getting a new look now from above at the intense and very chaotic shootout in downtown San Jose. The gunfight happening close to traffic, at times at a very busy intersection. You can actually see a view from a sheriff's helicopter of the gun battle at close range. The suspect in the crime spree dying at the scene. A San Jose police sergeant who was shot in the head remarkably is okay and out of the hospital tonight. Now, we have team coverage for you from San Jose. Our Kelsey Thorne is taking a closer look at the police response. But first, we go to Len Ramirez. Len was at the scene last night, well into the evening. And I know police are giving you more details right now. What are you hearing?
That's right, Juliette. A lot more new information coming out from the police department about how this all went down yesterday afternoon. The police chief holding a news conference with reporters and cameras this afternoon. Also, a new video coming out, as you mentioned. A lot of video sources around this area. It's surrounded by apartment buildings, and people brought out their cell phones, many recording what happened, as well as people here on the street. But by far, one of the most dramatic angles was for right on top of it, a law enforcement helicopter recording and directing officers, as you're about to see.
From above, a Santa Clara County Sheriff's helicopter captures the moment it all comes to an end.
He's going to be trying to 215 another vehicle. San Jose's.
A San Jose police sergeant face to face with a heavily armed carjacking suspect, bullets flying at the intersection of Julian Street and Highway 87. San Jose Police Chief Paul Joseph praised his officers for the response to the deadly threat.
Bravery, teamwork, and self-sacrifice we saw was beyond extraordinary.
At an afternoon media conference, the chief identified the suspect as 30-year-old Mohammed Hussein of Davis. Investigators say it was a crime spree that began with a stolen car in Sacramento, followed by 2 armed robberies in San Jose, then another stolen Corvette in San Jose. Hussein then led police on a high-speed chase south to Hollister, where officers say there were 2 separate shootouts with Hollister police. The chase didn't end there. Hussein sped back to San Jose, where he crashed into another car on the Julian Street off-ramp of Highway 87.
At approximately 3:53 p.m., the suspect collided with a stopped vehicle near the intersection of Julian Street and Notre Dame Avenue. After the collision, the suspect exited his vehicle and charged at an arriving San Jose police sergeant, immediately firing multiple rounds as the sergeant exited his patrol vehicle, with one bullet striking the sergeant in the head and fracturing his skull. In response, the sergeant and another responding officer discharged their weapons at the suspect. The suspect continued to circle the sergeant's patrol vehicle while firing at him from only feet away, bullets hitting the vehicle as the sergeant returned fire while bleeding from the head. The suspect then entered the driver's seat of the patrol vehicle in an attempt to flee with it. Moments later, he exited the vehicle and fled on foot toward another vehicle that was stopped in the opposing intersection. The suspect then fell to the ground as officers fired at him, and he was then struck by a responding patrol vehicle. On the ground, the suspect continued to move and was still armed with a firearm equipped with an extended magazine. Several additional responding officers then discharged their firearms at the suspect. The suspect sustained fatal injuries as a result and was pronounced dead at the scene. The sergeant was critically injured and was rushed to the hospital by other patrol officers. Thankfully, he will survive his injury.
Now, a siren seems to be going on right behind me. This is unrelated. It looks like a mobile unit for an ambulance. So that just came through. But anyway, what I wanted to say, Juliet, is that the helicopter taking that video was not a San Jose police helicopter. It was from the sheriff's department. What had happened was the San Jose PD helicopter, known as Air One, was involved in the following of that vehicle all the way down to Hollister and back. It had to refuel, and then the sheriff's department helicopter, according to sources, was able to come up and rejoin and talk to the officers on the ground. So it's a good example of the spirit of cooperation that went down yesterday involving many different agencies. In fact, 5 agencies came together: CHP, Hollister PD, San Benito Sheriff, Santa Clara County Sheriff, and San Jose Police Department.
Yeah, it looked chaotic, but it was quite a collaboration. Len, thank you so much for covering that. And let's bring in Kelsey Thord now, because she's actually covering another angle. She talked to a former police trainer today to get his perspective on the police tactics in yesterday's shootout. Kelsey.
Yeah, Juliet, you know, we've all probably seen that video now of the end of this shootout showing that police cruiser running over this suspect. So we wanted to talk with someone who had a lot of experience. That person is a former police trainer. He's trained thousands of police all across the country, and we wanted to talk to him specifically about that use of force.
The officer that used the vehicle as a deadly weapon is totally justified. I mean, you've got a suspect that shooting at the officers. He's obviously intent on not being caught, and a vehicle is a viable use of force to stop a deadly force threat, which the suspect was.
Don Cameron has over 50 years experience training police officers across the country. We showed him bystander video taken during Wednesday's shootout between police and a suspect in downtown San Jose to get his thoughts on the tactics officers used. The first video captured the massive police response and gun battle that ensued when the suspect started running through a busy intersection. Don told us the amount of gunfire heard on the video shows just how dangerous the situation was.
If someone's shooting at the officers are obviously shooting back, you know, and basically you shoot until you stop the threat.
In another video taken from a higher angle, you see the suspect run from a police cruiser through the intersection before falling to the ground and then getting run over by another police cruiser. Don says the officer who ran the suspect over had every right to stop the suspect by any means possible.
It's not something that's trained, but it's something that's very viable. That here's a guy that's on the ground. You don't know whether he's stopped or not. He certainly has a potential for continuing to fire, and he doesn't care who he hits. So certainly the officer that ran over was totally justified in using the vehicle.
San Jose's police chief said during a press conference that the officer's action would be investigated by the department and district attorney's office. He would not come to a conclusion on whether running over the suspect was justified, but he did say this.
Nothing about a deadly force encounter is pretty. And at that point, you have an incredibly dangerous situation with a dangerous individual. That individual needs to be stopped.
One officer was injured in the shootout and the suspect killed. Looking at the video playback, Don says the outcome could have easily been much, much worse.
The people that are caught in a bad situation, the people that are trapped in their cars, and again, this guy doesn't care. He's just firing indiscriminately back at the police, certainly, but also he doesn't care who he hits.
Of course, the formal investigation into this will take time, Juliet, just given the scope of how many officers were involved in this shootout that happened in downtown San Jose. But of course, everybody tonight just so thankful that no one else was hurt during this.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelsey, thank you so much. We will, of course, keep an eye out for any new developments in San Jose. We'll bring those to you on air, online at KPIX.com, and on our streaming service. All right, let's get to a traffic alert in the East Bay. A big rig overturned on westbound Highway 24 in Oakland near the Caldecott Tunnel. Officials say all lanes are blocked, but they should reopen shortly. Our chopper flew over the scene. Tow trucks are on site. getting the truck upright. Traffic was being diverted onto Highway 13. There's no word yet on what caused this crash. And we're also following another police shooting that snarled traffic for hours in Contra Costa County. Westbound lanes on Interstate 80 near Hercules are now back open. They were shut down virtually all day for this investigation. We've learned a suspect was shot and killed by an officer this morning. The California DOJ has been on the scene. We still don't know exactly what led up to all of this. Happened around 7:20 this morning involving Richmond police. Interstate 80 was shut down around 9 near Highway 4. We know a gold Nissan was involved. It's since been towed away. We will update you as soon as we learn more information. A Richmond elementary school is getting a complete makeover. This is the West Contra Costa Unified School District breaking ground today on the new Stige Elementary School. The old campus was deemed unsafe due to lead paint and asbestos, prompting parents to push for change. So in December, the school board unanimously approved a full rebuild instead of a modernization. Construction is expected to be complete by August 2027. All right, still ahead, right here at 6. Finding a new home is never an easy task. So can you imagine how difficult it might be when you have a whole water buffalo herd to bring with you?
My heart is completely committed to them, and it would devastate me if I had to give up. That devastation I never want to experience.
The last of Thursday's daylight fading on the horizon as we look towards the Golden Gate from the Mark Hopkins Hotel. Temperatures warmed up nicely today, even the spots that have been chilly recently because of the Thule fog, like Concord, managed to make it up to the mid-60s. A little step back in temperatures tomorrow with more widespread fog for everybody. We'll track that coming up in the First Alert forecast.
At 7, how Hollywood wizards and marine biologists have created a way for you to have a close encounter with Ms. Blue. Herding Italian water buffalo started out as a fun new adventure for a North Bay couple. Why not? But after years of setbacks and an unexpected tragedy, this business owner is now desperately trying to hold on. Our John Ramos has her story.
In this pasture in Sonoma County, a woman is fighting to keep her unique business alive, and she's got a lot more invested in it than just money. Sonoma County is home to a lot of dairy farms, but few have a herd like Audrey Hitchcock's.
This girl's gonna give me a hard time.
Audrey owns Ramini Mozzarella, a line of authentic cheeses made from the milk of water buffaloes, Italian water buffaloes to be precise.
You're up there for protection.
To meet the herd close up, it's safer for strangers to sit on top of the hay bales. Audrey says it's not that they're super aggressive, they just get a little pushy when the hay truck arrives, and you want to avoid being pushed by a 1,500-pound animal.
They're super sweet and super social. They love affection and human attention. But we're kind of doing this spontaneously, and they haven't been fed. The only danger that I face right now is if I'm in the crossfire of a fight over food.
The whole idea began in 2009 when her husband Craig grew disillusioned working in the tech industry. His love of animals and the outdoors led him to purchase 5 water buffaloes to begin a cheese-making business, offering tours to curious visitors. But Craig became sick and passed away in 2015, leaving Audrey alone to manage the farm. Eventually, the herd got too big for its location in Marin County, and Audrey moved the buffaloes to this temporary site in Sonoma as she desperately searches for a permanent home.
And my goal is to get back into production as quickly as possible.
Her commitment is not just to the animals, which she considers to be her family, but also to fulfill the dream of her late husband.
Given it's the greatest gift he ever gave me and he's gone, I value that probably more than most. My heart is completely committed to them, and it would devastate me if I had to give up. A devastation I never want to experience.
What she is doing is pretty unique, and she's hoping an interested party may come forward to act as a partner or investor, because it's a big job for one person to handle alone.
We need to hang on to this, or it's going to go away, and it's too special to go away.
The goal is a new microdairy to create the succulent cheeses that only Buffalo can produce. and with it, enough land so her ladies and their children can live a life that most dairy cattle never know.
At the previous location, the business offered tours for people fascinated by exotic animals. Audrey says she wants to create dairies that can become destinations for visitors like wineries. All right, San Francisco is expanding its Journey Home program. It allows homeless people to voluntarily relocate outside of the city and then reunite with loved ones. The program will now have a 24/7 relocation assistance, complete with travel planning, coordination, and follow-up.
We're going to give people multiple options to get home: plane, train, bus. And when they get home, they are going to have more resources to access things like benefits so that they stay home. We know that we have an 18% return rate after people go home.
The program expansion launched this week and will be fully operational next month. We'll be back with your 7-day forecast, but first, here's a look at the Tahoe Ski Resort report. Here's Johnny.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mosley, and the mountains are calling. The Toyota, it's packed up and ready to go. But before we get out there, let's check out what the conditions are like. The Toyota Tahoe report is ready. Let's head over to the map.
Yet again, another weekend where you don't have to be concerned about the drive at all. That's one benefit of not having had much new snow. But the theme for this season's Toyota Tahoe report has been, even without much new snow in these last 2 weeks, the base is what matters, and it's fantastic. We were really set up beautifully from the storm cycles that came through here in late December and early January. Each one of these resorts has about a 3-foot base. They're all almost entirely open in terms of all of the trails, and enough lifts to get you to all of those trails. It'll just be a bit breezy on Saturday. That is your Toyota Tahoe report.
The calm weather pattern we've been in for over 2 weeks now continues across the Bay Area. We had a couple of sprinkles that managed to make their way through last night, but nothing in terms of measurable rainfall. This is the satellite view of the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. We use this to track, kind of diagnose where the centers of these storm systems are. And you see the swirl down to our south. That's the heart of a storm system that tried to send some of that moisture across the Bay Area. Had better success sending a little bit of moisture into Southern California, but our dry stretch continues. It is now over 2 weeks. And it looks like we got another several days to go before we see any chance of measurable rain paying a visit to the Bay Area. So for the foreseeable future, air quality is going to be at least an intermittent issue. Some improvement as we head into the weekend. We're going to see more of a mix of green and yellow dots on the map. Good and moderate air quality Saturday and Sunday. Some stronger winds kicking in on Saturday, and that's going to help to stir around the lowest levels of the atmosphere. But without any rain, it doesn't take long for us to return to those moderate readings across the entire Bay Area by Monday. And the next chance of rain doesn't arrive until Wednesday of next week. And that's far enough down the line that we're still looking at our side-by-side forecast model to see where they agree, or in this case, where they disagree. So we'll start the clock at 4 p.m. Tuesday. And the European forecast model on the left shows a good chance of showers making their way into the Bay Area by the early hours of Wednesday morning. American forecast model keeps us dry through the duration of the day on Wednesday. Now, the European model does weaken the rain showers as they move across the Bay Area Wednesday, so we're not looking at a substantial amount of rain. And at this point, it still could go either way, but that European forecast model is the more reliable one. So we have modest confidence at this point that we are going to pick up at least a little bit of rain around the middle of next week. Again, that would help to improve our air quality and would just snap that dry stretch of weather that we have been in for the last couple of weeks. It'd be 3 weeks by that point. Temperatures right now still in the 50s across the entire Bay Area. 52 degrees in Santa Rosa is the cool spot. The warm location, San Jose, just below 60 degrees at 59. As we head through the rest of tonight, we are going to see fog developing, but it will dissipate, which is good news for our adoptable dog of the day. This is Hera, who is adoptable from the East County Animal Shelter, named after Greek mythology there, so it was like a classically named dog. Temperatures only reaching up into the mid to upper 50s during the afternoon, so it's going to be a cool day, but she's got that dark fur to soak up the sunshine that will emerge after that morning fog dissipates. Let's track the fog as we head through the rest of tonight. This takes us through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and you see it's going to be coming at us from two different directions. We have the Tule fog in the Central Valley, and then the coastal fog spreading in, both of which are going to kind of meet in the middle and cover most of the Bay Area. Low cloud cover and fog for the first few hours of daylight tomorrow, and that's going to put the brakes on the warm-up that tries to kick in. So after temperatures today, we're about 5 to 7 degrees above average. We're going to be about 2 or 3 degrees below average for highs tomorrow, in the upper 50s for highs in San Jose. That's 3 degrees below normal. 61 in Morgan Hill will be one of the warm spots across the entire region. Low to mid-50s east of the Oakland Hills, mostly 50s around the Bay, and the North Bay only in the low to mid-50s by tomorrow afternoon as well. Quick check of the 7-day forecast. Temperatures bounce back as we hit the weekend, and then we kind of hover around 60 degrees through the rest of the 7-day outlook, with that one chance of light rain showers headed our way by the middle of next week. Jules?
All right, Paul, thanks. And when we come back, the Bay Area could bring home a few Oscar trophies soon. The record-setting nominations for Sinners. And here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Good evening tonight. Coverage of that major winter storm. 200 million Americans bracing for snow, ice, or extreme cold. Maybe all three. That's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Celebrating creativity around California. Today, state and county leaders met in Nevada City to talk about the first ever plan for California's creative economy. That's anything creative in the state. Musicians, designers, small businesses. The hope is for the state to invest in it.
Everyone considers and counts the creative economy differently. So one of the goals that we have in this plan is for the state to adopt a really clear definition and measurement of how we categorize and count the creative economy in California.
The strategic plan key goals include data and impact measurement, business stability, and workforce development. All right, the Bay Area making a strong showing with today's Oscar nominations. Vampire blockbuster Sinners leads the way, making history with 16 nods. It is now the most nominated film ever.
Hey, brother. Be careful. I will.
Sinners is up for Best Picture, Best Actor, Original Screenplay, Casting, and Cinematography, just to name a few. East Bay native Ryan Coogler is up for Best Director for Sinners. British actor Delroy Lindo earned his first nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He's lived in the Bay Area since he was a teen, earning degrees from San Francisco State and the American Conservatory Theater. And they're not the only Bay Area nominees.
I Lied to You from Sinners.
Oakland's Raphael Sadiq also picked up a nomination for Best Original Song. He co-wrote one of the breakout hits from Sinners with the film's composer, who was nominated today as well. All right, I think we know where this is going. All right, CBS E! News is next. Local news continues streaming as always. We're back here at 7 o'clock with more news just for you. Thanks.